Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody. Time is precious, and we've got quite a lot to cover this evening. We will see people join as the discussion carries on. Firstly, I'd like to welcome and thank everyone for taking the time today to be present with this discussion on self-harm in children and teens. Before we move on, I'd like to discuss some housekeeping rules, which I'm sure we're all pretty familiar with. So most importantly, please, can you keep your cameras off and microphones on mute? The speakers will all have their cameras on and will be unmuted during their conversation times. Should you have any question, please use the chat box for your question, and the panel will respond in the Q&A session, which is at the end of this discussion. And what we'd like you to do is highlight a particular topic, for example, anxiety, and then ask your question, and someone will pick it up for us and respond to you. If by chance we're unable to deal with everyone's questions this evening, we will have them published, and a link will be shown a bit later on near the end of the session where you can pick up the Q&A. Today's panel is made up of what are affectionately known as global children's changemakers. Each one is a certified kids life coach and is a Kids Life Studio brand ambassador, an expert in their chosen specialism. Collectively, they have over 10 years experience of kids life coaching. They each have a core belief and are extremely passionate about well-being of children and advocates for children's mental health. Today's topic follows a recent BBC article titled Coronavirus Doctor's Diary, We're Getting Self-Harming 10-Year-Olds in the A&E. The article highlights that there has been a dramatic increase in self-harm in 10-year-olds. This resulted in the call to action of this panel here today, as will be noted by the 6-person panel here from various countries in the world, each of whom has checked their local incidents, the medical incidents, to see if there's a similar trend evident, or if this was not only isolated to the United Kingdom. Well, unfortunately, the information available does indicate that this is a global trend and not just a UK trend at all. Since the start of the pandemic, we have seen reports that children have become more anxious, lacking in confidence, having trouble sleeping, changes in family dynamics, increased screen time and eating disorders, to name a few. In this time we have available for this discussion, we'll attempt to take a closer look at each of these aspects on how they relate to self-harm in children and teens. A key purpose includes early warning signs, but most importantly, how to promote self-love as a preventative against self-harm. This evening's panel, I'm proud to introduce, is made up of Anett, who's based in the United Kingdom, and she'll be speaking closely on anxiety. Teresa, who's from the great little country down in Southern Africa called Eswatini, formerly Swaziland. We have Cassie, speaking on eating disorders, based here in the United Kingdom. We have Manisha Naidu, who's based in South Africa. And we have Fung, who's based in the United Kingdom, and Aurelie, who is based in Switzerland. Just to reconfirm, Aurelie will be speaking on technology screen time, Candy confidence, Manisha speaking on sleep, Cassie eating disorders, Teresa family identity, and Anett on anxiety. We hope that you'll find the discussion informative and that you'll be able to take away something that'll make a difference in your life or someone's life that you'll be able to help. From this moment, I'd like to welcome Anett and hand the floor to you, Anett.
Great. Thanks so much, Stephen, for the introduction. And hi, everyone. Thank you for joining tonight. My name is Anett, and I run the Happy Kids Life Studio here in the UK. And as Stephen said, I'm particularly interested in anxiety and perfectionism in children. So I guess the first question.
Sorry, thanks for the introduction, Anett. Yes, my mute button got stuck there. Apologies.
That's okay. Yes.
So based on what you know around anxiety, why is it important for children to learn to express their feelings at home?
Yeah, that's a good question. And, when children learn to better understand their emotions and manage them from a very young age, it leads to positive attitudes and behaviors, and they are more likely to be empathic and supportive of others and just perform better in school, have really more happier relationships, and they can display less behavioral problems as well, and just overall they feel more confident and about themselves. And I think most importantly is that they feel safe enough to reach out for help when it is needed, because they know that they won't be judged for what they are feeling and going through. Parents play an important role in their child's development, emotional development, because young people model their family members' behavior, and it all starts with being aware of our own feelings and honoring and being able to express them appropriately in our own home. So by safely expressing even difficult emotions, we model to our children how to practice stress management and self-care, and also demonstrate resilience.
Very interesting information you have there. So based on the above, how can we help children to express their feelings?
Yeah. So first of all, I think it's very important to set daily habits of mental and emotional check-in and try to find a time in the day when the family can talk about how they are feeling. This can be as simple as creating a daily ritual at the dinner table when everybody can share how they are feeling, or when you are doing the car pickups after school, whichever works for the family. And this way the children will learn that all feelings are okay, and home is really a safe place to express all kind of emotions, which also creates a very strong connection between the family members. And many children have fears and worries, and they feel sad and hopeless from time to time. And often what children need is their parents to be there for them and listen to them, and without trying to fix or reassuring them. And however, anxiety can become a problem when a young person feels stuck in it, and it feels just is so overwhelming and distressing, and it's an unmanageable experience. And if this kind of worrying goes on for a long time, it can leave a person feeling completely exhausted, isolated, and limit the things that they are able to do. So this may turn to self-harm, to focus their mind outside of their thoughts or worries, or they may use it to regain feeling if they have begun to feel numb from a long-term anxiety. So I believe it's really important that parents help their child identify their feelings very early on, and as this is the first step in helping them manage appropriately. So if you think that your child is struggling with anxiety, there are things that you can do to help them. The most important is to pause and take some very deep breath with your child. Deep breathing, especially with anxious child, is extremely important and can have reverse the nervous system response. So I'm going to introduce you a very simple exercise that you can do anywhere in wherever you are, because all you need is your hands. So if you can see it, I call this a high five breathing. So all you do is really tracing all your 5 fingers while you are inhaling and exhaling. And I invite you to do this with me together. So this is how it looks like. So you start tracing your finger and you inhale in and out. Inhale in and out. And out. Inhale in and out. Inhale in and out. So yes, you can introduce this very simple exercise with your child wherever you are, because you've got your hands with you. What's important that you don't stay up too long on each of your edge of your thumb, because on the top of your fingers, not to keep the air in for too long, because that can actually accelerate and can do the opposite. It can trigger more anxiety, but I think how we did it is great. The other thing is, anxiety is carried. Children wants to know that you get it, and all feelings are okay, and it's all feelings are valid, and feeling anxious is no different. And once the child is calm, it's time to figure out maybe possible solutions. And if you see that this anxiety becomes overwhelming or unmanageable, and it's starting to interfere with their daily life, seek professional advice, because yeah, they're there to help you.
Anett, thank you very much. Very informative, and I like the technique. So for me, I sort of can summarize with a couple of takeaways there. One would be creating a safe space at home to express feelings, for allowing to share big emotions. Create daily habits for mental and emotional check with the family. And then, of course, you're very convenient, feeling anxious, use the half-5 breathing technique, and to be very conscious that not to pause too long at the tip. You must just float in and out. That's
Yes, that's
really, really.
great. Yeah, great summary. Thanks, Stephen.
Annette, thank you very much. I'd like to now invite Teresa from the beautiful country of Eswatini, formerly Swaziland. Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Therese. I run the Seat to Seat Kids Live studio based in Eswatini. And I'm going to talk today about children and anxiety and identity. Thank you, Stephen.
Teresa, that's fantastic. You know, talking about who I am and identity, is there a link between self-harm and family identity?
Yes, I would say yes, there is a link, because as we know, every family has its unique, and in the family, even identical twins have their unique blueprint. Now, as a family, whether we are strong as a rock, at one point, we'll find that water will seep in and we end up questioning ourselves who we are. At such times, what do we do? You know, our children are receiving messages every day from different angles. And with time, this information just seeps into their subconscious, and unconsciously, they begin to believe these messages. And this then has an impact on the family brand, the family DNA. However, while parents are trying their best to keep their children safe and secure, I just want you to imagine receiving that phone call from a doctor or from the school counselor or a school teacher informing you that your child is self-harming. I just want you to picture the emotions, the guilt, the shock, the shame. You know, you question, why me? What happened? What did I do wrong? And you just look at your child who looks so calm in the house, and yeah, so you just don't know what to do. So the point is, self-harming can happen in any family, any demographic, any culture, any creed, any race. It can happen anywhere. Now, this may happen when the child feels they don't have a voice in the way the family is run. You know, they feel they don't have an identity, you know, and they feel they are screaming at the top of their voice and no one is listening. So to bottle up those emotions and get them out in a different way, then they will choose what they feel is best for them. And it is really one single experience that will push a child to self-harm. You know, in the family unit, it can be anything. Sometimes adverse childhood experiences, it could be bullying at school, it could be peer pressure, it could be relationship problems in the home, it could be bereavement or grief. So it can come from anywhere. So the child, as we know, is an individual and they have their own unique needs, they have their thoughts, and that's something we need to respect. Yeah, Stephen, so yes.
Yeah, very informative as well, Teresa. So just trying to digest what you've given us, there's a lot of complexity in there. So what can families do to connect better?
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, there's a lot that families can do. The first thing is to open the lines of communication, you know, and we know children self-harm because they have big emotions that they want to express. So like Anett said, we need to connect with our children, open the lines of communication, talk to them, and we want to encourage parents to be more vigilant. And we want, it could be nice for families to look at practicing what we call emotional first aid, just like we have our physical first aid. So emotional first aid, you can use the look, listen, feel, and ask technique. Now, look at your child. They look happy, but are they really happy? Look at what they're wearing. Compare what they're wearing to the season. I mean, if it's summer and they're putting on a thick jersey, then you really wouldn't want to talk about that. Listen to what they are not saying. You know, somebody walks and tells you, oh, I don't feel appreciated in this house, and oh, people don't listen to me. So listen to what they're trying to tell you. And also do what? Observe and feel. Observe the connection, the energy between you and your child. When they speak, how do you feel? No. And the last thing is ask. So ask questions. As a child, if there were 3 people you would talk to or you run to for support, who are those people? Ask them how their day was at school. Who did they hang out with at school? So we can use that technique. The second thing we could also do is asking parents to practice self-love as a family in a mindful way. So you have to first check in with yourself as a parent and just be patient with yourself. Who are you as a person? And when you do that, it's like if you're in the aeroplane and you have this oxygen mask, you are advised to first put on the mask and then you can save other people. So as a parent, take care of yourself. And how do you do that? Be creative. Come up with activities that you can do in the home. You can have a dance, you can have a karaoke night, you can go out and do that in a mindful way. It has to be valuable for the child. And you can also notice the media that the family watches at home. You know, if it's something relating to self-harming, have a conversation about that, talk about it openly. You know. And something else that parents could try out is what we usually use at the Kids Life Studio. It's called the Solar technique. The Solar technique is a way of sitting with the child and having this conversation. So we usually have like little cards that we give to the kids that empower them to show them who they are, their identity. So like, I was born an original, for example. And yeah, the child should know. So what do? We sit with the child. You may want to sit with the child on the floor because it's your child. Sit with them on the floor, have an open posture, be open to listening, and listen with your ears open to understand them, to connect, not to judge them. Have your eyes with love, not because they will pick up those messages. And finally, you should have an open posture. So you should be ready to communicate positive energy with your child. And the last thing I want to leave you with is just to say, you know, if it gets too much, ask for help. Connect with your child, but ask for help. Every child needs a secret parent. And we have to be careful because if we go in with anger, we need to remember that anger is one letter, just one letter short of danger. So we don't want to make it worse. We want to repair the situation. So the last thing is just remember that on the other side of pain is paradise. Thank you.
Lisa, thank you very much. So again, there's so much content we've got to try and digest. So I've got a couple of key takeaways. So for me, it would be practice emotional first aid. And you referred to look, listen, feel, and the ask technique. Then you also referred to practice mindful self-love by checking in on your emotions first, so that your child feels safe and to trust and connect with you. And then lastly, you spoke about the technique called Solar technique, where you start a conversation, sit at the level, floor level, chair level, whatever, open posture, lean forward, loving eye contact, ears to listen, not to judge, ensure that your body is relaxed and wear a smile. She is your child or they are your children. That's really, really great. I really appreciate that. Well, to not waste too much time, we're going to move along now on to Cassie, and I'd like to welcome Cassie.
Hi, thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here this evening. So yeah, my name is Cassie, and as Stephen said, I'm from the UK, and I run the True You Kids Life Studio. And my particular interest is in eating disorders in children and teenagers.
Cassie, thank you very much. So looking at eating disorders, I mean, it's quite a widely spoken of topic. Are eating disorders a form of self-harm? And how could how could a parent recognize early signs of eating disorder?
Yeah, yes, totally. So eating disorders in themselves are a form of self-harm, as they include self-starvation in the form of anorexia, which has the highest mortality rate of all mental illnesses. Then you've got bulimia, which involves the binging and the purging or the taking of laxatives, and that is a form of harming yourself. So is overeating, and something called EDNOS, which is eating disorders not otherwise specified. And they can include the use of diuretics, excessive exercising, as well as eating to a point of discomfort. As well as that, it's also common for an eating disorder to actually be accompanied by physical self-harm. The most common is cutting, but it includes burning, scratching, scalding, hair pulling, and even ingesting harmful substances. So the early signs of an eating disorder, they can include things like skipping meals, making excuses to avoid sitting and eating a meal, like, oh, I've got too much work to do, oh, I need to go and do this, always being a reason. Pushing food around the plate or positioning it to look like they've eaten when they haven't. Other things would be to look out for visiting the toilet shortly after eating, regular upset stomachs, and also in the case of overeating, if there's food missing, or if there's a large amount of food consumed in a large amount of time, and they're all behaviours that should be monitored. And obviously, if you're worried about your child displaying these behaviours, then please do reach out, and we'll be able to signpost you to get the appropriate help.
Again, a lot to digest in that. So, how can parents help their children have a healthier lifestyle?
As you can see, the behaviours are very severe and are difficult to break once they've been started. So the idea is to prevent our children reaching that point, which is where the practice of self-love comes in. So eating disorders, along with other ways of self-harming, are often a way of dealing with internal conflict, lack of emotional control. So providing and demonstrating a healthy, balanced lifestyle is extremely important for both girls and boys. Boys are sometimes overlooked, but it is important. And it can be done through a number of ways and simple activities. The first, which has been said previously, is allowing them to express their emotions and acknowledging and holding that safe space for them. You don't have to provide answers or fix things. You just have to allow, and we can sometimes be the most helpful when we actively listen, because listen is the anagram of silent. Also, eating together at the table is helpful, as it normalizes food. It signifies the family coming together, and talking around the table can reduce food becoming the focus when there's an emotional overwhelm. And this can be done by having questions in a pot or on lolly sticks, and you can just choose one at random at the table, and it's a nice way of being an icebreaker and starting conversations. And eating is one of the key ingredients which we do cover in our coaching program. It's one of the foundations that we need in life. And I use several different tools to encourage healthy eating and physical activity. And also allow all food in moderation, because then children don't crave for the things that they think are sort of bad for them, and will eat more of them. So it'll avoid binging, and they will learn self-discipline, and that they can have anything within reason. And that also goes for exercise. So getting a good balance of physical activity, so as there isn't a need to over exercise, but at the same time maintain a certain level of exercise to keep bodies healthy and physically strong. The same as acknowledging, choosing and talking about our thoughts and emotions allow us to become mentally strong. So basically, in conclusion, if we can promote self-love, connection, and the importance of a balanced, healthy lifestyle from a young age, then the need to gain control through food, exercise, or other things like self-harm will decrease as the child would have learnt emotional control and how to voice those emotions without internalizing them. So now more than ever, it's important to engage with our children on their level, be honest with them, show them that we're human too and that we have emotions, but also have fun, play games, jump in puddles, show an interest in the computer games that they're playing, draw, practice gratitude together. All of these things help all of us grow into a well-rounded, mentally strong person, but it takes consistent work on ourselves and on our mindset to become second nature. So yeah, promoting self-care and self-love from a young age will in effect prevent self-harm. And if you do need any help, and we will do our best to help you, and if we can't help you personally, then we will signpost you to someone who can.
Cassie, thanks very much. As I'm sure the audience is aware, I try and grab a couple of takeaways for myself just to help understand. So for me, I've kind of picked up that not all eating disorders are visible, as others like anorexia, for example. So there's that physical disability that you see as a result of it. So you've got to look beyond just what you can see. Being aware of changes in behavior, such as visiting the toilet, making excuses at meal times, are warning flags. Am I right? And something may be going on, so it's worth having that question. And then a key one I've gathered is be silent and listen. And that's a common thread that's coming through from all of the speakers so far. At the table, have a conversational starters that can be chosen and use a bit of fun with it. The lollipop sticks, I think you referred to allow them a space and a safe time to speak and be heard. To me, it sounds like fun, and I think it can be very valuable. Thank you very much. Again, we started a little bit late, so I'm going to usher on now and like to welcome in Manisha from South Africa. Welcome, Manisha.
Hi, Stephen. Hi, parents. I'm Manisha from South Africa, Gauteng. I'm the founder of the Learn, Grow, Adapt Kids Life Studio. I'm excited to be here to share my knowledge with you, speaking on sleep.
Sleep. Very interesting topic. So my first question to you is, what is the relationship between a sleep disorder and self-harm in children?
Stephen, I should begin with saying that sleep is one of the building blocks for mental and physical wellness in children. It has a direct impact on attention, happiness, cognitive development, learning, and performance. We all as parents at some point experienced our children, from babies, toddlers, tweens, when they have lost sleep. And if we recall, they were moody, inattentive, hyperactive, and generally grumpy. This is the same for adolescents. Adolescents with sleep issues are more likely to report self-harm than those children with a good sleeping pattern. Adolescents are programmed to sleep later due to the sleep hormone that their body releases called melatonin. Melatonin is released later in the body, making children not to feel sleepy, hence teens stay up way later than their parents. However, staying up late and having to wake up early adds to the child's experiencing social and academic difficulties in their lives. Apart from this, Stephen, adolescents struggle with managing their studies, exams, projects, extramurals, and other social sports, and having to excel in school, remembering that they are losing sleep, so they cannot control all of this. Some adolescents, especially the teens, grade 10, 11, 12, they are choosing to study all night, only having 3-4 hours of sleep and going through to write the exams. This leads to a bad sleep pattern and going to bed at different times and waking at different times. You're feeling tired all day and you're putting stress on your body. Poor sleep is linked to a host of mental health difficulties, self-harm, suicide, and suicidal attempts.
Isha, thanks for a great level of content. So looking at all of that content, do you have any tips for healthy sleeping habits for children?
First and foremost, parents need to know that their teens need between 9 and 10 hours of sleep a day. So if they're missing sleep, Try not to have it be regular. If it's 1 or 2 days in a week, it's fine. But if your child is missing sleep 5 days a week, then you need to relook at their sleeping patterns. Try to keep a set routine as regular as possible. Make sure that they get enough air, they get enough sunshine, exercise, and a good diet. If they're stressing about exams, then, or any other personal issues, if they have issues at school with their friends, social issues, you need to address it before bedtime. And you need to set time. If you find that your child is dealing with exam stress, you need to design an exam plan with them, for them, so they can go to sleep well, knowing they have a balanced exam plan and school routine, so they won't be stressed when they're going to bed. So discuss your problems before bedtime for the child and design the exam program well in advance. Teenagers imitate their parents. So try and set a good example as best as you can. Allow them to unwind before bed. Stop studying 30 to 40 minutes before bedtime. What we use at the Kids Life Studio is mind holidays, which takes their mind on holiday to release the stress they have experienced throughout the day. So doing daily mind holidays is good for them to sleep well.
Well, I think everybody loves a holiday. Thanks for that, Nisha. Really appreciate it. So my sort of set of takeaways from that is yes, we need to be better adults and parents. So lead by example as a parent is a key. Discuss issues with children before bedtime and find a solution so that they're not taking that problem to sleep with them, I would say. And then unwind before bedtime and using the mind holiday as a tool to help deal with that unwinding process. That's really great. Now we move on to welcome Candy from the United Kingdom. Welcome, Candy.
Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Candy, all the way from the United Kingdom. I'm the founder of Nurturing Minds Kids Life Studio, and I'm passionate about boosting children's confidence.
Confidence. So, in your opinion, do you think a lack of confidence, or for that matter, too much confidence, can lead to self-harm?
Well, absolutely, Stephen. I think a child who comes across as confident and a child that lacks confidence, they can both equally be feeling low enough to want to self-harm. But what I really want to do is just start by talking about a child that comes across as being confident, because those children are the ones that may not have that self-esteem. They lack self-esteem and are really just not feeling good about themselves. But what they tend to do is just put a mask on to hide their insecurities, so they have this confidence to hide their insecurities. They have high expectations of themselves, and actually most of the time they're probably pretending that they're really good at something that they're not. Or they could be, for example, using social media to bully others, and I'd say that they're really not happy with themselves at all. Those that lack confidence may consider self-harming because they feel that nobody cares about them, so why would they even want to share their feelings with anyone? They're just so scared to ask for help, and they actually think they can manage their their feelings and manage everything on their own. They may feel isolated, and because they feel so different, they may be blaming others and blaming themselves for their own failures, and they might even be bullied. In fact, I think that is one of the signs to look for. I think they're probably more likely to be bullied and are feeling lonely. They really find it difficult to live up to other people's expectations as well. So
yeah, it's again a lot to digest and a lot to consider. So taking all that into consideration, how can parents and carers make children feel better about themselves?
Well, children, children often take the cues from adults around them, and if as an adult you're feeling calm and reassuring, of course what's going to happen, your child's going to feel calm and reassured, right? So just like adults, they want to be heard and noticed, and for all those little things that they do, just for example, by saying something like, oh, I noticed you got up before the alarm clock this morning and you got ready so quickly without me even saying, or oh, thanks for putting the washing in the basket. I mean, you can say that to the adults as well, right? I'm sure that can go for adults as well. But yeah, those little things will just be really good to actually make them think, oh, actually, yeah, I'm really responsible, you know, and you didn't even have to tell them that they're responsible. But yeah, noticing is so important. So the language we use is so important. Just by rephrasing those words that we use makes such a big difference to their feelings. Like Anett said earlier, I don't know if you can all remember, but she said, oh, it's okay not to be okay. And, you know, it really is. And children are just so, yeah, we just need to let them know that it's so brave that they actually want to ask for help. Yeah, I mean, life is just full of ups and downs, right, for everybody. So yeah, asking for help is always encouraged. Let's talk about things like, for example, I don't know, maybe say to them, oh, let's talk about what went well, or what can we do better for next time. Something that I get children to do actually is to practice gratitude. I know Cassie also mentioned it as well. To practice gratitude, I mean, it's such a great way to increase their happiness. I mean, I've got gratitude jars behind me that I use with me and my boys, but yeah, filling a gratitude jar up with little bits of paper, you know, write down things that you're grateful for and pop it into the jar. But little things like that can do so much. Praise their effort and not their result. When they ask for your opinion, for example, maybe point out things like, oh, you pay so much attention to this, or, you know, you pay so much attention to the detail of these little things, or maybe even, oh, you remembered what I said to you last week, and show them that, you know, they can really, they're really good listeners, basically, right? So yeah, noticing those little things, maybe big things to them. Also, give them some responsibility. I think that is so important, because then you're showing them that they can be trusted and you're making them independent. And things like, for example, I don't know, washing up, emptying the dishwasher, feeding the cat, taking the recycling out, or making their bed, even something as small as that. And also showing an interest in what they are interested in. That makes a big difference, because a lot of the time we want to think, oh, okay, well, just for some peace, yeah, let them get on with what they're doing. But no, showing interest in what they're doing, try new things together. Also setting goals and helping them take baby steps to achieve what, you know, what they want to achieve. And that just shows them that you really care and want to support them. You know, help and support is just what they need, isn't it? But thank you, Stephen.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Candy. So I've sort of taken a bit to digest, and a couple of takeaways is, even though children come across confident, it doesn't always mean they are. You know, we've got to look for those little behaviors. I like have attitude for gratitude. I'm a firm gratitude. And yes, show children that you notice the little things they do. It's not just about the big things and the big achievements, I guess. Thanks so much, Candy. Yeah. Now, moving into the better part of Europe, I'm going to welcome Aurelie to the panel. Welcome, Aurelie.
Hi, Stephen, and hello, everyone. I'm Aurelie from the Seeds of Joy Kids Life Studio in Switzerland, and I'm a Kids Life coach who has a keen interest in the role of technology in children's life and their development.
Technology, a very big and sensitive topic in current worlds at the moment. In your opinion, is there a relationship between children using technology and self-harm?
Yes, I think there is a huge influence of the internet and social media in particular in this behavior. And let me tell you something quite interesting. 4 years after the introduction of the smartphone in America, we noticed a drop in drinking alcohol, in substance abuse, and even the percentage of having sex decreased among teenagers. But however, at the mental level, we saw a huge increase in loneliness, in depression, anxiety, self-harm, and suicide attempts. And that was especially among girls. And what is striking is that the number of self-harm cases tripled among American girls. So I think there's definitely a huge relationship. And there is also, we've seen in many studies, the relationship between the internet addiction and self-harm and suicidal behavior, which is associated to long hours on website with self-harm content. And today we also notice that teenagers use more and more social media to communicate and share their distress to peers. So it's difficult for parents to see it. It's less obvious than before. And so we're less aware of what's going on in their online life. So for me, technology is like a tool for children who are at risk of self-harm that would amplify their behavior. They look for toxic online environments where the online contagion is so difficult to control. And the issue for parents is that today kids are so savvy with technology, they can easily hide everything. It's actually quite worrying. And we have noticed a quite recent phenomenon called digital self-harm. I don't know if you heard about this thing. It's when you create a negative content about yourself on social media, or you post abusive comments on your own account. And so these digital self-harmers, they are seeking attention for a legitimate reason, but they're doing it in a very destructive way. We also know that victims and perpetrators of cyberbullying are at greater risk of both self-harm and suicide behaviors. And again, here, girls are more likely to be affected than boys. So for me, definitely, digital media, social media can amplify self-harming behavior if it's used without limit, if it's used without parental control, if it's used without open and regular conversation about tech use.
Yeah, and again, it's that common thread of communication between parent and child being a safe space. It's quite scary knowing these statistics and how changed behaviors, physical behaviors changed and mental behaviors became bounded in condition. So looking at all of this, what can parents do to reduce the risk of self-harm in regard to technology use specifically?
I think we first of all need to remember that digital parenting is not different from parenting. Parents' role here is again about the 3L: limit, listen, and love. I think first of all, we should make sure that we set boundaries. We have clear limits that are really respected by children on their tech use. And it can be done by establishing a family contract or a digital media plan for the family, and do it together, even with your own conception as a parent. Be involved in that contract. That would be a good example for your kids. And simple rules like no screen in the bedroom at night, limit specific application, and also ensure that the offline activities are done before the online. And my recommendation would be to delay as much as possible access to social media, because first of all, it's addictive. And secondly, because this is where cyberbullying, toxic content, comparison, and self-harm content can take place. Now, if your children are already on social media, I would strongly recommend that you check what they're doing online. What kind of website are they visiting? What are they posting? Who are their friends, even offline and online? Who are their friends? Who are they talking to? And have an open conversation about it, not a judgmental one, but with curiosity and interest, and open the conversation about their social media and digital behavior. The more you talk about it, the better it is. That's the general thing about tech use. You can also remind them that a healthy use of social media is when they engage, is when they are active, they comment positively on what they see. This will really decrease their negative feelings as well. And as parents, we should be role models again here, showing to our kids that we can limit our digital consumption. We are able to put aside our phone for a few hours a week. So maybe you could also suggest digital detox once a week with your family. It's a great way to reconnect and do other things together. In my coaching practice, what I do is that I help children keep a screen-life balance. And I do so by helping them apply what we call in the Kids Life Studio, the 7 key ingredients for a healthy and happy life. And I think all my colleagues tonight have already mentioned them, and I will list them again. It's about having a good night's sleep. It's about eating healthy food. It's to make sure you have a physical activity every day. It's about having a positive leisure time, relaxing during the mind holidays. It's also about communicating one's feelings, as Anett said in the beginning. And we can add to this list also being curious, learn new things every day. There is no age for learning. And finally, very important one, never hesitate to ask for help when things go wrong. That's very, very important, especially in this topic. And I noticed when children do that, when they apply these 7 key ingredients, their life change for good. And it really protect them from toxic influences.
Aurelie, great deal of content, and I know there's a couple of really exciting things I can take away from there. My quick takeaways, I like the parent's role with tech is not different, and the 3 L's. So that's the limit, listen, and importantly, love. Definitely. Delay access to social media as much as possible, or check children's media use regularly. Agreed. We have to be responsible parents. And we as the Kids Life Studio, we highly promote applying the 7 key ingredients. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. Thank you very much, Aurelie, really appreciate it. So we've come to the part of the session now where we're going to step into the Q&A. But just before we do that, we're going to be posting a link of a survey, and we would really appreciate if everybody could take a moment and complete it. It'll be very, very helpful to us in terms of our future decisions. And while people are busy gathering their thoughts and looking at posting questions, Anett will be raising the questions to the various panels, but I'd like to just recap a couple of things. We first had Anett, and he referred to when feeling anxious, use the high 5 breathing technique, which I think is simplistic and very effective. Teresa, around identity, states, as parents, check with yourself first, then practice emotional first aid using the look, listen, feel, and ask technique when you connect with your child. Cassie spoke about eating disorders. The key message there was be silent and listen. At the table, have conversation starters that can be chosen on a lolly stick, for example, so a little bit of fun added to that to allow safe space and an icebreaker so you can speak and be heard in a safe environment. Candy on confidence. Even though some children come across as confident, doesn't mean they are. So we as adults and parents and carers need to observe and note the changes in their confidence, from too much to too little, really. And then Manisha gave us a good account for sleep. So discuss issues with children before bedtime and find a solution. And use the mind holidays. And in case no one understands what a mind holiday is, they are fantastic. Please reach out and find out what they're about. And then already lastly spoke about technology, and the foundation of the entire discussion panel is apply the 7 ingredients as a family and keep speed life balance. And that word balance needs to be underlined, I think, from Aurelie's perspective. So what I'll do at this moment is I will hand the floor back to Anett so she can help deal with any questions that may have come up.
Great. Thank you so much, Stephen. So yeah, we had really good questions coming through the chat box. So thank you so much for everybody. And please, we still have 10 minutes to go. So if you have anything else to add, just put it into the chat box and then we will try our best to answer tonight. So just going back quickly, I think that was a really good one on sleep. So Manisha, this is something for you. You might want to convince my 13-year-old to go to sleep at a reasonable time. He always has so much energy late at night, and I would love to some advice. I show him literatures, etc., but I haven't been able to convince him to get more sleep. Would you like to add anything to that comment?
Hi, Anett. Thank you for that. Okay, so to that parent that asked the we have to look at his routine, his daily routine, and look at a weekly routine. We have to look at his diet, school, what is stressing him out that he doesn't want to sleep, because clearly there's something on his mind that is making him stay awake to think it. So maybe have an open communication with him, do it outside of your home and make it a fun, calm environment to discuss exactly what is going on with him that he doesn't want to sleep. You have to see, when do you take away the devices like technology? Is it exam stress? How is his routine? So we have to look at a whole approach to see exactly the reason why is he not wanting to sleep. Okay, because when you're happy mind means that you will sleep comfortably and for the duration of it. So she can always email me and we can discuss it further.
Yeah, that's great, Venetia. Thanks so much for that. And I think that's how we work as well. We look at the whole picture. So that's why we say to parents to do a lifestyle assessment before we start coaching them. And then so we can see the better understanding of what's happening in the child's life. Thank you. Great.
Yeah, it's not because I just don't want to fall asleep. There's some factor behind it. There's an unmet need there that we need to look at and pull out what is causing no sleep, or for my child not to go to sleep.
Yeah, great. Thank you. That's really good. Thanks so much. And I think we've got another one, really good one on technology. Yes, so someone said lots of technology for school and tired of it. He even prefers to read online rather than books. I keep trying, but it seems the more I try to lay down expectations about sleep schedule, the more pushback I get. So it seems like this is all related. Maybe it was from the same parents as well. But that's true that, yes, especially with what's happening during the pandemic and lockdowns. Yes, technology is a huge problem for many parents. Aurelie, would you like to add anything to that to that feedback?
Yeah, maybe I will just add that in the situation we're in, we cannot really talk about screen time anymore. It doesn't make any sense because of distance learning, everything. We are all online all the time. So I think the focus should be on the screen use. What is your kid doing? What kind of application is he using, and with whom, and always share what he's doing. That's the most important thing. And I think maybe try to switch from a smartphone or a tablet to a Kindle for reading. It's always better because you don't have this blue light, and that's a cause of issue for sleeping. It increases it disturbs the melatonin mechanism. So. And I think it's also good from parents to propose alternatives. Don't have kids like online for 2 hours nonstop. Make break for the eyes already. It's very important. But make breaks. Suggest something else in between, and then they can go back to their screen.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much, Aurelie. Yeah, that's really good and very important what you just raised. Okay, great. So I'm just looking at the time and I'm conscious about it. We are going to have to wrap up as well. So somebody, just before we do that, ask as well to just repeat the 7 key ingredients. Maybe something we can talk about a little bit more again, Stephen, as I hand it over to you. And I believe what we'd agreed on is that all of the questions came through the chat box. We are going to post them onto the Resilience Club, and then we are going to answer them as well. So please, I encourage everybody, I'm going to share the link in the chat box where you can go to the Resilience Club and just follow us and reach out to us. I'm also going to share the email addresses of everyone's Kids Life Studio, and you will have our contact number as well. If you would like to get in touch, please do so, and we are here to support. So I hand it over back to you, Stephen, and I will put all the information into the chat box now.
And thank you very much. I see technology is also getting a bit tired of us so far. To conclude the session, I would like to really express a deep, heartfelt thanks to the panel for their insights and their time they took today in today's discussion. I know the panel would like me to express to you, the audience, for taking an interest in a very important topic that is showing some alarming increases globally. We trust and believe that you found the information to be of value and that you've managed to grab at least one takeaway that will possibly aid either your life, your child's life, or possibly someone else's life in a positive way. As mentioned, we have the Resilience Club. There's the Kids Life Studio website. As an added bonus, there is a free, and yes, free, course to prevent suicide, self-harm in children through Kids Life Coaching. And that link will be posted in the chat box as well. So please, it is free. Click on it, sign up, and enjoy the content that you gain from that. Again, a heartfelt thank you to everybody for taking a keen interest in this difficult topic. And for me, it's take care, keep safe, and goodbye.